15. And I'm going to tell you a story while you turn to Matthew 15 about somebody. He was 7 years old when he had to work to support his family. At age 9, his mother died. He was 23 when he incurred a huge debt and had to file bankruptcy. 28, after 4 years of engagement to his girlfriend, he asked her to marry him. She said no. He loved another lovely girl, but lost her when she died. At 37, on his third attempt, he was elected to Congress. After 2 years, he ran for re-election, and he failed. Adding to a miserable marriage, at age 41, his 4-year-old son died. At 45, he ran for the Senate and lost. At 49, he ran for the Senate again, but he lost again. He went through a period of depression because of rejection, criticism, and rumors that he was going through. But at 51, he became the President of the United States. Today we know him as Abraham Lincoln, and we know him as one of the greatest leaders in world history. In fact, he set thousands of slaves free. He passed the Emancipation Proclamation. He taught the world that slavery was wrong and that people need and should live freely. And when the Civil War failed in slavery from his efforts, then his enemies assassinated him. See, but people remember him today as a man who stood firm against strong opposition. His struggles formed in him something that a lot of us, we fail to get over our lifetime. It formed in him a character, a perseverance. It formed in him a faith. See, he never gave up. After all that he went through, he never gave up. I know people that have just given up when things got hard. I've been there. Come on. I bet there's people in this room been there. Just go to somebody and say, why even try? Come on. He kept on. He never gave up. See, are you having a hard time this morning trusting God through your difficulties? Is it getting to the point where it's really hard to trust Him? Come on, you know, we sang that song, you know, in the eye of the storm, right? But are we really? Because, you know, you can sing that song, but we could be sitting here going through and saying, Lord, where are you?
That's right.
What are you doing to me? Come on, I got so mad at him one time. I said, why did you put me on the shelf, put jars in front of me, and forget that I'm on the back?
Come on.
Come on. He doesn't get mad at you when you go and say something to him. Let him know, hey, I am disappointed. I'm angry. Okay? See, are you disappointed in God in something this morning? I'm sure I'm talking to somebody. I don't think God would have given me this message if it wasn't meant for somebody to be able to hear it. Are you mad at Him because He's slow in responding to your prayer? You've been praying and praying, and it seems like He's not even answering your prayer. I told y'all this the other week. I was sitting up at the farm one time talking to my mom, and it was real cloudy, and I said, my prayers just bounce off those clouds. Doesn't even make it toward heaven. This just gave me this lecture. Now you know that God hears your prayer. Okay? See, what I'm asking is your faith under so much pressure that you're feeling like, I'm just going to give up. I'm going to quit. No use going on. Are they too heavy? Are your problems you're going through too heavy for you to hang on to? I'm not one of these people that preaches you just hang on until you get to the end. Okay? Too many churches tell the people get saved, just hang on. Since that's all you've got to heaven, just hang on to the end of that rope. You're about to fall, but just hang on until you get to heaven. But are you feeling like that right now? Are you at that point? You're at the end of your rope. Are you desperate for God's help? Are you desperate for God to step in and finally do something that needs to be done in your life? Well, this morning I want to look at a person who had some great problems. A person who needed some help. But she had great persevering faith. She wouldn't give up. And she trusted in a great person to give her the answer that she needed. And she was described by Jesus as a person of great faith. Jesus says she has great faith. But here's a big idea for you. God finds pleasure when your faith persists in spite of all the difficulties that you're going through.
Yes.
God takes pleasure in it. Now look at Matthew 15:21. Then Jesus, I'll give you time, I'm sorry. Like I told y'all before, I'll cheat. I put my scriptures in my notes. It's there, and I just have a habit of just jumping into it. Have you got Matthew 15:21? Okay, thank you. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried out to him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she cries after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs. And she said, Truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith, be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. See, there's some major barriers that this woman had to overcome. First, she was a woman. And in this time period, women have no rights. They were considered as no more than property. If they saw a crime committed, they couldn't even testify in a court. The word didn't mean anything. So first, she was a woman. Second, she was a Gentile. Okay? Salvation had not been offered to the Gentiles at this time. It was only given to the Jews. Jesus came to minister to the Jews and bring salvation to the Jews. It was not for the Gentiles at this time. So she was a woman, she was a Gentile. And that's what Christ meant when he said what he said, that he was only sent to the lost sheep of the children of Israel. But not only was she a Gentile and a woman, she was a Canaanite. Jews did not like them. If you remember, they were the pagans that were in the land when the Jews came in and took it over. They did not like them. So she had all kinds of stuff going against her to come to Jesus and say, help me. I mean, the odds were stacked against her. Come on, I've been, yeah. We've all been there. The odds are against me, Lord.
Yes, sir.
People are telling me it's impossible. You're not going to make it. You're going to go under. You're going to sink.
Yes.
You're foolish to believe God's going to do something. Come on. I go through that all the time. You know, just because I'm up here ministering to you doesn't mean I've got strong faith or more faith than you've got. I go through stuff too.
Yes.
I get depressed. I get upset. I get discouraged. But then you look, you know, like a while back we was going through this house thing, trying to find a house. God explicitly told me, say, a year from now you're going to look back and see where you came from. Come on. He's got a plan for you. He's got a purpose. Okay? All right, so this passage is about the faith of a Canaanite woman. Okay? It's about the great faith of this woman. He said, you have great faith. Now, this wouldn't be such a big deal if Jesus had been around telling everybody they had great faith. But you compare what he said to this woman, it's unique because she was a Gentile. And Jesus healed, and she was the only one that he healed in the whole of Matthew's gospel. She's the only Gentile that he healed. So she's unique. And she's the only person that Jesus said had great faith. Now you can compare that with about, I think it was 7 times he told his disciples of their little faith. And he's telling this Canaanite Gentile woman, you have great faith. It was unique. And I think for the disciples to hear him say this was a powerful learning experience for them, to hear him say to this woman, you have great faith. I think they learned something from this experience. You see, there's some lessons that we can learn about this woman and her great faith that she had. So the faith that God favors is one that is desperate for God's help.
Yeah.
When you're desperate for God's help, He favors that. He looks upon that. I'm desperate for you to help me, Lord. You've got to do something. It's in your hands. In verse 21 it says, Then Jesus left Galilee and went forth into the region of Tyre and Sidon. A Gentile woman who lived there came to him, pleading, Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David, for my daughter is possessed by a demon that torments her severely. See, desperation leads to strong faith. What you're going through today is going to build your faith up. I don't know what you're going through out here. I don't know what the live audience is going through. But whatever you're going through, God is going to build your faith up on that. You're going to have stronger faith when you come out of that. A year from now, you're going to look back and you're going to say, Man, look what God got me through. And then the next time something comes, you say, Well, He got me through this last year. This isn't going to be that bad. I'll get through it. He'll get me through it. See, the story that we're reading doesn't begin with us knowing about this woman's great faith. Doesn't tell us about that. It begins in her desperation. She's desperate for God to do something for her. That's where the story starts. She's desperate. And that's where great faith begins. When we get desperate, that's when our great faith starts being built up. That's when it starts coming. See, this woman, we don't even know her name. Don't even know what her name is. Her daughter, though, was described as cruelly possessed by a demon. Now, we don't know what that means exactly. We don't know exactly what she was going through. It could have been something that gave her a violent, insane behavior, like the man in the garden when Jesus cast out a legion of demons out of him. Okay? Lived among the tombs, lived among the dead. Or it could have been seizures like that boy had in Matthew 17, threw himself in the fire. We don't know, but she was terribly vexed with a demon. Whatever her symptoms were, whatever she was going through, her mother was desperate for her to be healed. She was desperate. She wanted her to be free from this terrible affliction that she was going through, from this terrible state that she was in, from the possession of the demons that were putting her daughter through. She was desperate. And her desperation led to hope. See, it wasn't hope in folk cures or remedies. She probably already tried all that. It wasn't working. No, it was a hope in the best medicine that was available for the day, the best medical advice that she could get for the day of what to do, what treatments to take. No, but it was a hope in the God of Israel. It was a hope in the God of Israel, the hope in the Messiah, God's chosen one. That's where she put her hope. Listen, when you're sick and you're going through things, you need to put your hope in the God of Israel, in the Messiah, in the chosen one. Don't pray, God heal me, but He's going to heal me through the doctor finding some cure for me. No. God says, I will heal you. She was desperate. These remedies didn't work. They weren't working. So here is Jesus who said, I'm the Messiah. She's desperate. She's putting her hope in the Messiah. She's putting her hope in the chosen one. And that hope that she had in Him led to faith without shame. She was not ashamed to approach Him. See, many times we can be afraid to let our faith be known. We're afraid people make fun of us, ridicule us, put us down. It might cost you your job. Come on, I'm getting real here. So we're afraid to speak up and say something. We don't want to stand out. We're afraid of what it will do. Sometimes you want to be polite and not talk religion. Come on. Today's climate, you don't want to talk religion. So we're afraid to. Sometimes we don't want the scrutiny that comes with us letting people know that we're followers of Christ. That's right. We don't want that. But this woman was different. Yes. She lived out a faith that came from having nothing else left to lose. That's right. She was at the end of her rope, so to speak. She was hanging on. She was at the end. Amen. Time to let go and let God. She was desperate, and she didn't care that she was a woman, she was a Gentile, and she was a Canaanite.
Yes.
She didn't care at this point. Nothing to lose. She had a desperate faith for God. She approached this band of disciples and their leaders, Jesus. She approached them. She screamed out from a distance. As though it said, Jesus. She said, Jesus!
Yeah. Oh.
Heal my daughter. She was screaming at him from a distance. Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. She was recognizing who Jesus was. And she was screaming it out. She didn't just shout it, she was screaming.
Yes.
She was letting people know. Her cries, they were desperate. She had, as desperate as the faith that she had that Jesus is going to do what she needed him to do. Jesus was the one who could make the difference in her life.
Yes.
She didn't care if the disciples approved or not. She didn't care. She was screaming out.
Yes.
She didn't care even as a woman approaching men who were strangers. She didn't do that back then.
All right.
She didn't care. She was approaching these men that were strangers to her, crying out, Jesus, Son of David,
Amen.
have mercy on me.
Glory.
I mean, she didn't care that she was going to stand out like a sore thumb.
That's right.
She didn't care at this point. She needed something from God, and she's going to do whatever it took to get it. She didn't care who knew, who noticed,
Yes.
or what rules she had to break to do it.
That's right.
She was going to get it. She didn't care that of the things that quite often makes us ashamed.
That's right.
She said, I'm going to do what it takes to get it done. So she had the faith of a desperate mother.
Amen.
She had a faith that didn't have shame. She was going after it. And the great bear of just being a female, she didn't care. You know, that should make us think about our faith and where we stand and how we want to approach Jesus. Does it come out of desperation? Does our faith rise out of confidence that Jesus is the only one who can bring meaning to our lives? He's the only one who can bring the answer to our prayer. Desperation, Jesus, you've got to do it. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what people think of me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the answer. The only one who can bring true spiritual, emotional healing to me is Jesus. I don't care what people are saying about me.
Amen.
I don't care what they think about me. See, Jesus, the only one who our lives are worth devoting to. That's what I'm going to do. Or is our faith just casual? It's just a thing that we do because it's expected of us. Just a casual faith.
Yeah.
I'll let you know my faith if it sort of comes up in conversation or something. But I won't make a big deal out of it. I'm not desperate enough. You know, we're going through some things, and instead of making a show of it around work or around friends or family because of what they might think of it, you say, well, yeah, I'm kind of believing God. Come on. We need to have a desperate faith that's not ashamed.
Come on, yes.
Faith that'll scream out, Jesus! I scream louder, but I'm afraid this will start squealing on these speakers again. See, this woman had faith without shame because she knew Jesus was the only hope that she had.
Yes.
Jesus was the answer. She didn't care what others expected of her. What others expected her to do. See, faith isn't just you holding on to God. It's God holding on to you.
Amen.
That's what faith is. God's holding on to you. He's got you.
Yes.
He said, don't worry about it. I got you.
Amen.
He won't let you go. He's got your back.
Yes.
So here's another big idea. God finds pleasure when your faith persists in spite of the pressures that you're going through.
Come on.
He finds pressure. See, the faith that God favors is one that's a faith that's determined to get God's response.
Come on.
I'm going to get a response from God no matter what it takes.
Preach.
I'm going to keep on keeping on.
Yes.
I used to sell insurance for A.L. Williams. I remember A.L. Williams. And his saying was, all you can do is all you can do. I'm going to do all I can do to get an answer from God. I'm going to keep hanging on. But look at verse 23. But Jesus gave her no reply, not even a word. Then his disciples urged him to send her away. Tell her to go away, they said. She is bothering us with all her begging. Then Jesus said to the woman, I was sent only to help God's lost sheep, the people of Israel. But she came and worshipped him, pleading again, Lord, help me. She cried out, but Jesus didn't say a word. Complete silence. Come on.
Yeah.
Been there.
Amen.
Got the t-shirt at home. I cried out. You didn't answer. Didn't hear me.
Come on.
Didn't answer out. She cried out. Complete silence. Nothing. And she went to him. She made her plea. And he answered her not a word. Lord, help me. My daughter's vexed with the demon. Not a word from the Son of David, the Messiah, the Anointed One. Nothing. He practically was ignoring her. But I think he was testing her faith. Not a word from him. He knew what was in her. He knew she had faith. He was waiting for her faith to find full expression in her desperation. He was waiting for it to come forth. See, some of our greatest lessons of faith are learned when God appears to be silent, when we're desperate.
Come on.
We're needing an answer, and he seems to be silent. Your prayers are bouncing off the clouds or off the ceiling. And you're going, God, where are you? But over and over the woman cried out, Jesus, for mercy. Have mercy on me, Son of David. But he didn't answer her. It says not a word. Not one word of acknowledgement was uttered. Not even a, not now, I'll talk to you later. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing like I hear you, let me think about it. He didn't say anything. Nothing but divine silence met her pleas and her cries. Nothing. We all want to be listened to when we speak. When we say something, we want people to listen to us. At least act like they're interested in what we have to say. And nothing will spark anger quicker than to feel snubbed by a relative or a friend when we're speaking to them.
Amen.
And they just snub you and ignore you. You go, well, even if they don't agree with what we say, we want them to at least acknowledge that they heard us. She got nothing from Jesus. Not a word. So here she is. She was desperate in the depths of her own soul. The desperation of her daughter's demon possession. Crying out. And in her crying out to Jesus Christ, all she found was silence. Didn't answer her a word. Didn't say anything to her. So why was he silent to her pleas? Why didn't he answer her? Because his silence was trying her faith. See, it tried it, but it didn't conquer it. It tried her faith. It didn't conquer her faith. She pleaded still again.
Yes.
See, he responded the way he did, not to destroy her faith. He wanted to develop her faith. That's why he responded the way he did. He had a purpose in being quiet. Whatever you're going through, he has a purpose for being quiet at this point.
Amen.
He has a purpose for it. See, the effect of this was to develop, to strengthen, and manifest her faith in her.
Yes.
That's what he was doing. His silence was not and is not without a purpose.
Yeah.
And it wasn't unconcerned for this woman's need. It wasn't saying, I don't care, I'm not worried about you, no. But she wasn't disappointed to the point of just giving up because of his denial. She wasn't disappointed enough to just give up. She waited. She held on believing. As we get kind of uncomfortable, we shuffle our feet a little bit, get kind of itchy and antsy. We finally they speak up and they say, Jesus, Maybe you could just heal her daughter so she would just leave us alone. Maybe you could just answer her so she'll just shut up. You know, it's actually embarrassing, you know, see her acting like this. You know, she's making a fool out of herself. She's bringing attention to us. And you know what people will say, seeing her following us around like she is. Come on.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've seen what people say about your faith when you're going through things. You're holding on. To this, Jesus turns and he says, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He's telling me, I'm only sent to these people. Now, how do you think that they would have responded? Would they have been as shocked as we are that Jesus said this? You know, what are you saying? Or would they have been thinking like this? Would they say, well, yeah, Jesus, we don't like Canaanites either. You know? But then, see something more about faith. Not only does she have faith without shame, listen, but her faith was without fear. See, she was not afraid of Jesus or his disciples. She wasn't afraid to make a scene. She threw herself down at Jesus' feet in total worship. She was not ashamed to approach them, to shout out and scream out. She didn't care who saw or who heard. She was going for the answer. She had nothing to lose. She showed a relentless dependence on Jesus. I depend on you, Jesus. She was without shame. She was without fear. She fell at Jesus' feet and asked again, Lord, help me. Help me. I'm desperate. See, is that the kind of utter devotion that we have when we need something? Or are we afraid to pray and ask God something because we might be told no? The answer might be no. So I'm afraid to ask. I'm afraid to approach you. So she didn't let Jesus' lack of response stop her. Seemingly, he didn't respond. Little faith will bring your soul to heaven, but great faith will bring heaven to your soul.
Amen. Preach.
Come on. See, here's another big idea. God finds pleasure when your faith persists in spite of the pressure.
Amen.
See, the faith that God favors is what? Faith distinguished by God's approval. Verse 26. Jesus responded, it isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs. She replied, that's true, Lord, but even dogs are allowed to eat the scraps that fall beneath the master's table. Dear woman, Jesus said to her, your faith is great. Your request is granted. And her daughter was instantly healed. See, on top of faith without shame, without fear, she showed a faith without stopping. It would not stop. A faith that wouldn't quit. She wouldn't give up. She bowed down at Jesus' feet, and he told her something very strange. He said, it's not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs. Everyone there knew what he meant. The disciples knew what he meant. The woman knew what he meant. He was saying, in fact, it isn't good to take the blessings meant for Israel and give it to the Gentiles.
That's right.
That's what he was telling her. It's blessings for Israel. It's not meant to be given to you. And the woman said, Jesus, Master, as always, you are right. You're absolutely right. But even the dogs eat from the crumbs that fall off the Master's table. She acknowledged it. She said, yeah, you're right. In other words, she was saying, on her face in worship at the feet of Jesus, the woman said, look, Lord, I know your blessings are for the entire world. I know your blessings are so great. I'll gladly take the leftovers to be satisfied.
Yeah.
I'll take the scraps. And in this final response, listen, from the woman whose faith won't quit, I can see the scene. Jesus' serious face broke into a smile. He looked down on her. He reached down. He grabbed her by the hand, helped her up on her feet, looked her in the eye and said, great is your faith, woman. Your daughter is healed.
Yeah.
Took desperation. The Lord was testing her faith, and she passed the test well.
Yes.
She passed it. Now, this is where this particular story ends. Okay, we don't know what the disciples were thinking. Okay, did Jesus remind them of what he previously taught? In chapter 7 of Matthew, he said, ask and it will be given to you, search and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you. And that's continuously knocking, continuously asking. Hear from somebody you never expect. The disciples saw that kind of faith lived out.
Yes, sir.
Keep on knocking, keep on asking,
Yes.
keep on seeking. They saw it lived out in this woman. They got a living lesson on asking and seeking and knocking and not giving up. They saw great faith in this woman. A faith that didn't quit asking. Faith that didn't stop because there was no answer. Faith that wasn't ashamed to seek diligently after Jesus. I don't care what you think. I don't care what the law says. I don't care what people say about me. I'm going to go after Jesus with everything I've got. A faith that wasn't afraid to keep on knocking, even in the face of no response coming back.
Yes.
I'm going to keep on knocking. See, do we have that type of faith? A faith that won't quit no matter what? Is our faith at that point where we just won't quit? Or do we have a faith that gives up when we don't see a quick response? We pray today and we don't get a response in 5 minutes because it didn't work.
Come on.
Come on, sometimes you have to pray and pray and pray.
Yes.
Sometimes it might take days or weeks or years.
Come on.
Because God has a plan. He has a purpose.
Amen.
See, the disciples left that place after seeing a faith that wouldn't quit. It wouldn't give up. A faith that they imitated as they spread the gospel later on all across the world. The tradition of the church teaches that every disciple died a martyr's death because of his faith in Christ. They wouldn't give up. See, could it be that great faith that they had when they went out and they were carried off to their death? They learned from this woman, this Gentile woman, because they saw it in action. They saw it wouldn't quit. You know, may God grant us the faith, a faith so great that we won't give up, even in the face of uncertainty, even when we're not sure. A faith that won't say, I quit, I won't go on. A faith so great that it seeks Jesus Christ relentlessly.
Yes.
I have a need, and I'm going to keep knocking and asking and seeking until I get it.
Amen.
Come on, sometimes it might be a small need. Sometimes it might be a big need. Sometimes you just have to be patient and wait for the answer to come. A faith so great that it believes God's blessings are too big for one nation.
Preach.
The blessings are too big. A faith so great that it never quits.
Yes.
Come on.
Amen.
I'm talking about having great faith, believing God for great things in our lives, believing God to meet our needs exceedingly, abundantly, above, beyond.
Yes.
Come on, we was looking for a house. I was told, well, God only promises to meet your need. You might not need a 4-bedroom house. You might just need a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom. Just have to make do. You know, because all He promises is to meet your basic need. Come on.
Amen.
Anybody else been through that?
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm believing God for the house of the desire of my heart.
All right now. Yeah. All right.
Come on.
All right. Preach.
See, as Christians, we settle for less
Amen.
instead of God's best.
That's right.
I'm not preaching a prosperity message, you know, grab it and claim it and or grab it and grab it or something. Yeah. Well, I know I said that wrong. You know what I mean.
Amen.
All right? But God wants to give you the best.
Amen.
You know, we wanted a van. I've been told settle for a Volkswagen. All you need is a car. A 57 Volkswagen would be great. It'll get you where you want to go. I said, no, my heart's desire to have a van, so we put the grandkids in it. We got a van.
Amen.
Come on. You got to have faith.
Amen.
You can't let people talk you out of your blessing.
That's right.
And let me tell you what, church friends will try to talk you out of your blessing.
Yes.
Come on, you got to be like this woman. Don't give up. I don't care what my church friend says. I'm not giving up.
Amen.
I don't know if y'all know Bethany Hamilton or not. She's become a source of great inspiration to millions through her story of faith, determination, and hope. I don't know if you know her or not. She was born into a family of surfers on February 8, 1990 in Hawaii. She began surfing at a young age. At the age of 8, she entered her first surf competition. When she won both the short and longboard divisions, this sparked a love for surfing competition within her spirit. She loved to surf. At the age of 13, on October 31st, 2003, she was attacked by a 14-foot tiger shark while surfing off the North Shore. Come on, the attack left Bethany with a severed left arm. After losing over 60% of her blood and making it through several surgeries without infection, Bethany was on her way to recovery with an unbelievable positive attitude. Lifeguards and doctors believe her strong faith in God helped her through the traumatic ordeal. Come on, miraculously, just 1 month after the attack, Bethany returned to the water and continued pursuing her goal to become a professional surfer. In January of 2004, Bethany made her return to surf competition, placing 5th in the open women's division of that contest. With no intention of stopping, Bethany continued to enter and excel in competition. Just over a year after the attack, she took first place in the Explorer Women's Division of the 2005 National Scholastic Surfing Association. Whew, that's a big, but they can't believe I said all that without stumbling through it. Okay, winning her first national title in 2007, Bethany realized her dream and turned pro. Come on, are you having a hard time trusting God amidst your difficulties? Come on, are you disappointed when God seems to be silent or slow in responding to your prayers? Is your faith under pressure and you feel like just giving up? Are your problems too heavy for you to hold on to any longer? Are you desperate for God's help? Are you really seeking God? God calls us to have a faith that won't fold up. A faith that will keep holding on. A faith that does not quit.
Amen. Yes.
Come on.
Amen.
That's what God's looking for. A faith that won't quit. A faith that won't give up. And that's what I'm striving for. I want a faith that won't give up.
Amen.
Not there yet. I'll be honest with you. I'm not there yet.
Amen.
Still feel like giving up at times. Come on. I'm not the only one.
Praise.
I just ran out of preaching. Yeah. Don't give up.
Amen.
No matter what it looks like around you. Don't give up. Because God has a purpose.
Amen. Yes, sir.
God has a plan. And it may not be in our timing. It's in His timing.
Amen.
But I'm guaranteeing you, whatever you're going through right now, a year from now, you're going to look back at it, and you're going to see how your faith has grown and gotten stronger. And you're going to say, wait a minute, look where I'm at today is where I was a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. And everybody was telling me I'm not going to make it. Come on. Come on. Father God, I just thank you for the attendance of the congregation this morning, for this message. My prayer is that it has ministered to somebody's heart this morning. It has lifted up people's faith. They're going to walk out of here with a stronger faith in you. And they're going to keep knocking and seeking until they get the answer that they're searching for. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, guys. I do want to pray if you want to come up here and let me pray for you.